In an unprecedented event over here in New Delhi, we have the Palestine embassy where the International Day of Solidarity was observed for the Palestinians with all the Arab envoys over here. Ambassador, a huge gathering of more than 22 envoys. What was your expectation in terms of the solidarity from the Arab world?
I think we have received all the support from all the Arab countries and the Islamic countries also. I think Ambassador of Saudi Arabia have spoken about that summit, which I think also led that ministerial mission will come to India and also discuss the Palestinian issue and the Palestinian problem with the Indian government.
Expectations from India, sir?
Hope India will play very good role, especially India is friend of both sides, the Israelis and the Palestinians. Hope they will call for ceasefire as soon as possible. We are in humanitarian truce now, and we are expecting that will lead to a ceasefire.
And finally, before I let you go, red lines. Are there red lines that have to be drawn for Israel when it comes to the Arab world?
And I can't decide in that matter, but the Israelis should know that the Palestinian people will never be ended. They will never raise their hand or white flag until they get their legitimate rights. And they have done lots of massacres in West Bank, pushing people to move to Egypt or anywhere. I have mentioned maybe with you also before that the Palestinian people, whatever of massacres done by the Israelis, they will live and die in their homeland.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today, Ambassador. This is where the meeting took place. All the ambassadors over here expressed solidarity with the cause of Palestine, and all of them talking about a two-state solution. Interestingly, the room where this meeting was held is called the Arafat Indira Cultural Center. With video journalist Ashwini Helen in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for India Today. I'm being joined by the Ambassador of Jordan to India. Thank you so much for speaking with India Today. This was an important meeting, an unprecedented one, Ambassador. So many of the envoys coming together under the Palestinian roof, literally so. What is the message?
Well, the message of this, that we are all Arab countries, all Arab representatives here, are unified in our position, rejecting and condemning the massacre and the genocide that is going on in Gaza right now by the Israeli forces. This is to show our solidarity to our colleague, the Palestinian ambassador here, and it's a step of support to him and to his country, the Palestine and the Palestinian people, which are really massively have been killed so far in this war.
Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking with India Today. I'm being joined by the Ambassador of Djibouti to India. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us here on India Today.
Welcome.
Unprecedented, seeing so many envoys coming together.
Yes.
What's the message over here? What's the way forward to the crisis that is unfolding in West Asia?
As you may know, Djibouti is in love with peace, is in love with human life. And we are very sorry that human life are being spoiled like that. So all we are asking is the ceasefire. Very important to stop the human killing. It's very important that human babies, hospital, schools stop to be bombed. And then there is no life without security. And then go forward for the security, for the peace. And we, Djibouti, we are tremendously seeking for the solution for the two states, for the security of Israel and for the security of Palestine. Because without both of them living in peace, no one will have security. So this is the message.
Thank you so much for joining us here on India Today. One of the most critical countries that has been on the forefront of assistance to Gaza, Egypt. I'm being joined by the Egyptian ambassador to India. Ambassador, many thanks for joining us here on India Today. Difficult times for Gaza, difficult times when it comes to humanitarian aid. Egypt is doing a lot. How do you look at the temporary ceasefire, the truce, and the hostage crisis, plus the humanitarian aid that needs to go in?
Let me start with the humanitarian crisis. First of all, the only crossing to Gaza that is open now is the Rafah crossing. Sometimes we tend to oversimplify things and think that a crossing is simply a door that opens in both directions. This is not the case. A crossing is a gate from the Egyptian side, as well as there's a gate from the Gaza side. The one on the Gaza side is controlled by the Israelis, and we have been facing over the past month continuous delays, continuous bureaucracy, to the extent that the flow of humanitarian assistance is not going according to the expected rates, taking into consideration that these people in Gaza are subject to a very aggressive kind of military operation that make it very important for us to come together and increase the humanitarian flow into the Gaza. On the exchange of hostages over the past 4 days, this is something that we welcome. Egypt, of course, has played a very important role in this, along with the state of Qatar, and we are very much encouraged by the fact that we have extended the humanitarian ceasefire for another 2 days, and we hope this will conclude in a permanent ceasefire.
Do you think there are going to be more phases for the hostage release? How is that going to work out?
We are very much encouraged by the fact that we have extended for another 2 days after the initial 4 days. We hope that this is going to be followed by further extensions until we reach a level of complete ceasefire. This is something that is very important in order for both people of Israel as well of Palestine to live in peace in the region.
Once the hostage crisis is over, Ambassador, Prime Minister Netanyahu has very clearly said that he's going to continue his operations against the Hamas. What happens to Gaza then, and how will there be a ceasefire if Israelis think that they need to eliminate Hamas completely, irrespective of the hostage crisis or not?
I'm not quite sure what is meant by completely eradicating Hamas. We think that the idea of resistance is going to continue as long as the Palestinian people continue in their land. So resistance will be there. Whether we call it Hamas, whether we call it someone else, these are people that are defending the right of existence, the right of having their own state. And I think this is the real crux of the issue here. People have to come together and find a solution how to establish a state of Israel, of Palestine.
Sir, is Egypt staring at a massive refugee crisis from Gaza? The displacement that has happened, it'll take a long time to rebuild. So are we looking at a massive refugee crisis?
So far, we have made it very clear that displacement of the Palestinians from Gaza into any other part of the world is not accepted, least of all in Egypt. We have seen before that people from Palestine have been displaced in 1948, they have been displaced in 1967, and the end effect is that they are staying where they are displaced, and unfortunately the refugee camps have developed into cities that are very poor in infrastructure, very poor in humanitarian condition. So it is not accepted under any circumstances, and this is not something that we're going to allow. Not only Egypt is not going to allow this, but I'm also we're all aware that the Palestinian people themselves, they are very much against this, because everybody knows that if they leave their land, it will be very difficult for them to return to their homeland as well.
On that note, thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on India Today. That was the Egyptian ambassador speaking to India Today. With video journalist Ashwini Helen in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for India Today.